Welcome to Faith in Real Life, a place where the truth of God's Word meets the reality of everyday living. This is a space for honest conversations, for questions that don't always have easy answers, and for faith that holds strong in the middle of real life. Here we believe God still speaks, that grace is greater than our failures, and that no matter where you've been or what you're facing, hope is never out of reach. Life gets messy, relationships get complicated, dreams get delayed, but faith was never meant to stay inside church walls. It was meant to walk with us through every moment, every decision, every season. On this show, we talk about the struggles, the victories, the waiting, the healing, and the restoration God is still writing. Whether you're standing strong in faith, hanging on by a thread, or just trying to figure out what you believe, you are welcome here. This is a place for real stories, real grace, and a real God who meets us right where we are and loves us too much to leave us there. Now join us as we walk this journey together. Here are your hosts, Austin and Tyler.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Faith in Real Life with Austin and Tyler. I'm Austin.
And I'm Tyler, guys. We're here today. We wanted to, start with our first episode, just kind of introducing the show to you guys and introducing ourselves, giving you guys a little bit of backstory about, like our personal walks and, kind of bring forth, some real life scenarios and real life things that need to be brought to attention in today's world. Especially, amongst, the younger generation. I feel like we wanted to start this show and to start this podcast with, those real life and just real talk discussions
That's
that,
right.
churches are probably too scared to bring up in their sermons. And I mean, not necessarily trying to say anything bad about churches or bad about anybody in particular, but there is. It's almost like there is a wall put up between churches and the outreach to the communities and the outreach to the people. And so that's kind of the purpose of what we feel like we want to do here with the show. And Austin, why don't you give us like a little bit of a backstory of who you are? Your a little bit of your testimony and kind of what led you up to calling me and saying, Tyler, we need to start a podcast, man. We need to get this thing going.
Oh, man. Well, a while back, I've experienced probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to experience in my life. I was in a very dark place in this time, and I was questioning, man, God, where are you? Are you even with me? During this time, I was with somebody that I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. And that didn't happen. That's not the case. And after we separated, I went into a dark place and began really to lose my faith. I was mad at God, questioning everything that I'd been brought up because I was raised in church. I was baptized at 10 years old. Um, Looking back now, I think at that time I was baptized just because that's what everybody was doing. Not really understanding what was going on. It wasn't until a few years ago where I really understood um, what salvation meant and what it meant to accept Jesus as my personal Lord and Savior. And I did that, and everything was going good, so I thought. And then until that a brick wall, I was hit by a brick wall, or I ran into that brick wall, and I was like, God, how can this be part of your perfect good plan? This is not what you designed. This is not, how can this be? And in that dark time, I found myself, even though I was being angry at God and questioning him, I was still going to him. I was still talking to him, and I was still having communications. And through that time, I, man, I've been blessed with with new friends. I mean, me and you got close, and just having that experience and nobody really to talk to that understood what was going on. I got to thinking like, man, I could get somebody and I could talk with them and turn that into something that maybe helps somebody else. Because I didn't have that. I mean, I had my family that I would talk to, but it's not it's not the
It's not the
same. It's
same.
not the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
So
Sometimes you feel like you can't open up with your family a little bit.
that's
I
right.
definitely get that.
And through those dark times, and I'm still not 100% better. You know, I still have times where I get angry. I'm not perfect, but through that, I have grown closer to God, um, and I'm starting to see now maybe the bigger picture that He had in store for me. Um, I still believe in restoration. I still believe that there's some hope there somewhere, um, in His time. That was my problem. I wanted it to happen on my time, and everything I did, I wanted it. I've got to step back and realize it's not my time. It's the time He's allowed and He's given me, and that I've got to make the most of that and just trust Him in the process. And thankfully, I was able to connect with you and Nick, and here we are today.
Right. Man, wow. Yeah. There's some parts of that I didn't even know.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean it's a lot.
I like what you said about maybe these conversations can reach and help somebody out there that's watching or listening. Because not everybody has somebody to talk to all the
That's right, and
time. You know,
that's my goal, and I believe that's both of our goal is so we talk about the things that nobody really wants to talk about in church. Um, and by doing that, we're going to help others, and that's my goal is to help others through difficult times, to let them know that hey, no matter what you're going through, God is always there, even though you may not feel Him or see Him or sense Him. He's there. You just got to trust that He's there
right?
and keep going, and He'll reveal Himself to you eventually, and you'll be able to look back and say, "Yep, you was right there.
The whole
You was
time.
right there the whole time."
A lot of times, and especially in my personal testimony, which we'll, get into that here in just a minute, but in my personal experience, it was after the fact that, whenever I look back and I think on, like a scenario or a situation that's happened in my personal life, it's not until after, the heat of the moment and, in the midst of, the confusion and the clutter and the cluster that you're like, wow, now that I think back and then I look at this one very little detail that had like nothing to do with the situation, it was, I mean, God that was there, in that time. And I guess, a little bit about me and my background and my personal testimony. Um, I grew up in youth groups. Grew up with a grandfather that made us go to a old Baptist church, and the preacher's up there yelling, red face, sweating. But I mean, I was a kid. I was asleep in the pews. I didn't really understand. Then joined some youth groups and went to youth camps. I've had that. I call it the Jesus high. Um, everybody around you, they're raising their hand whenever that youth pastor does his altar
Right.
call, and not denying that Jesus wasn't there, but I just know from my personal testimony that it was the emotional response of everything that was happening
Right.
around me. Um, it wasn't until actually last year that I had a real tangible and a real encounter, with Jesus that just absolutely transformed my life. After that experience that did happen that day, and I guess leading up to that day, I would even go a little bit farther back. I was drinking every day. Just I mean, really just running away from the Lord. Really, my life was at a standstill. I mean, there was no improvement. There was, nothing but steady, what seemed to be steady decline. I mean, I had a job, I had a place to live. I mean, I really didn't have too much of a reason to be in my own head the way that I was. But I really believe that's where Satan attacks. Is he finds your weak points and he finds your insecurities, and then that's what he
Absolutely.
uses against you to draw you away from the goodness of God. And he found my weaknesses. I mean, drinking, my insecurities, my own mind was my own worst enemy, and I came to a point to where suicide was a very real option
I've been there, brother.
for me in my life. And it was in the midst of that darkness where, I mean, like I said, just an amazing encounter happened. And I mean, even still, while I was a little drunk, I just fell straight down on the floor and put my face on the ground, and I just said, Jesus, I see you. You're there. I mean, there's no doubt, and that's where the transformation really happened in my life. And um, one thing that I do want to hit on too is, growing up in the youth camps and things like that, and growing up in the churches, and after me myself being church hurt, one of the things that I feel like is kind of, I guess, kind of hidden in today's world. And one thing that needs to be pursued after now is, whenever these younger people, they have experiences with Jesus, and they get saved and they get baptized, where is the discipleship to follow it? Because and just my own personal testimony. If there was somebody there discipling me, and looking after me and keeping up with me as far as like my spiritual walk goes,
Mm,
I think that I kind of would have avoided a lot of the bad things to come after that.
right,
And not that I'm totally dependent on people, but it kind of what you say with your testimony, it is good to have somebody to talk to, and not be embarrassed about the things that I wanted to say or needed to say.
right.
And it's hard to talk to your family about it. Like, who can go to their father or their mother and say, well, I'm really struggling with pornography today. You can't do that, not with your family. That's why it's real good to have um, a Paul in your life and a Timothy in your life. A Paul in your life is somebody pouring into you, and then having a Timothy in your life that you're pouring into.
That's right.
It's surrounding yourself with the constant reminder of Christ. And I mean, again, if you're in it for the people, and you're in it, just in hopes of looking at everybody else and letting everybody else define your relationship with God, you're going to be let down every single
Every
time.
time. You cannot rely on any one person to give you confidence in anything. The only person you can rely on is God, but you do have to have the community of others, of a few people that you can open up and be honest with. And
Oh, absolutely.
and
I like one phrase that I've heard. We're a part of a men's discipleship group and things like that, and just men pouring into other men, and you can talk and open up with these men about anything. But one phrase that they said that was so true is that every Christian is a hypocrite.
I believe that.
I mean, every one of us are. I mean, I am. You are to some extent. And I
Appreciate that. I
truly
never been
believe
called a
that.
hypocrite in my face, but I
But
I get what you're saying.
it is true. We claim to be a Christian. We don't claim to be perfect. I know, just like what you said. You're not 100% there. I mean, we never will be
Yeah,
100% there. There's a reason why, in such a short time that God created Adam. I mean, they had one rule, don't eat the forbidden fruit. I mean, within a matter of days, guess what happened?
boy, that apple was gone.
That apple was gone.
It was
It was
gone. It was
it was
good,
out of there.
but it was
But man is going to let you down every time. So
absolutely.
you know, knowing where my heart stands, where I believe in Jesus, and that is what has made the difference in my life and my walk with Christ.
And I hope that's what sets us apart and our show apart from influencers or people on social media that they post like they have the perfect life, and behind that camera that they're taking those pictures on, behind those posts,
Ugly.
I mean,
It's ugly, you know?
don't believe that everything that's going on in their life is 100% perfect, because I can guarantee you it's not. And that's what I want this show to be about. I don't want you to see a polished perfection, and trust me, it's not. Where I'm new at this podcasting stuff. You're new. It's not going to be polished, but I want you to see the real people behind it. Like we are one of you. We want to hear from you. We want to help you through whatever you're going through in whatever way we can. And that's what's on my heart for this show. But my goal is to be different and not show the perfect side of life, because it's not perfect. You're never going to get there.
That's right, you
Um,
know, and I didn't and I'm not sure about, you know, you as well. Well, actually, I do know about you as well. You know, this isn't going to be a show that, you know, we're like, all right, guys, open up your Bibles. We're in Acts chapter
oh,
3,
absolutely.
verse,
I'm not a
you know,
preacher. I'm not claiming to be a preacher.
you know,
Um,
it's about those real life topics. You know, those real life scenarios. I mean, I was just talking about them with one of my, you know, my gay friends this past week. You know, and their question to me was, you know, um, do you believe that, you know, gays belong in church? Absolutely.
Everybody belongs in
I
church.
I I want them to sit right next to me,
Hey,
as a
yeah, there
matter
you
of
go.
fact.
There you go.
Um, you know, that's the real life topics, but, you know, the truth about South Georgia is whenever, you know, whenever a gay person walks into church, they gonna be looked at differently, you know? And that's what's hard about, you know, like, people like us. I mean, you know, people that do struggle with sin. I mean, people that do struggle with, you know, not living the perfect, polished life that everybody makes themselves out to be on Sunday.
Right.
You know, that's what scares people from going to church. And you know, thankfully for me, I've found a church here in Tifton, Northside Baptist.
Giving a plug. I
Y-
see you.
what's that?
I see you giving the plug.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta give them a little shout out, you know. I was so scared, you know, of a big church. I mean, walking in and, you know, feeling judged and feeling, you know, pressured and stuff like that, but, you know, it wasn't like that at all. I mean, you know, there seems to be some cliques in there, but, you know, not really judgment, I guess you can say, or you don't feel like somebody's eyes are staring you down the entire time that you're in there. You know, a very good atmosphere in that church. So I think that's what matters is finding the right church. You know,
Absolutely.
just because you try out one church, that doesn't mean that there's not another one right around the corner that works best for you.
That's
It
right.
it might not be the church that has 300 people in the congregation. It might be that church that has 10 people in the congregation. That might be where the Lord, you know,
That's right,
truly.
because you're not going to church for the people.
Exactly.
You're not.
Exactly.
That's where you find your community, but you don't go to church for the people that are going there. It's not a
Absolutely.
social club. It's not the country club. It's not a, you go there for you and your relationship with Christ, and then to develop community while you're there and find people that you can talk to. And
Absolutely.
I think that's a lot of reason why church hurt happens. People go for the social hour and they're not invited into a clique.
Yep.
And that's exactly
Yep.
where that stems from.
Well, you know, that and the fact that, you know, the sad truth is, and I mean, again, we're not trying to talk bad about churches at all, but, you know, there was this young lady on social media. She did a bit. It was on TikTok or something. She called 30 churches and she had like a fake baby crying in the
I
background.
remember you telling me this story.
Yeah, I think I told you about this like 2 weeks ago. But that fake baby was crying in the background, and she called him and just said, you know, I need $17 for baby formula. That's all I need. You know, she wasn't asking for them to pay her like, you know, nothing crazy. Well, did you know that 27 out of those 30 churches told her no because she wasn't a member of their congregation? 30 churches, or excuse me, 27 churches out of the 30. Two of the churches said, yes, we'll help you. One of the churches, I believe the church said no, but the pastor called her back on his personal cell phone and said, you know, hey, I'll help you out, you know, out of my own pocket.
That just blows my mind.
And you know, that's I mean, you know, then we ask questions, you know, why are people church hurt? I mean, there's the clear evident sign. Out of 30 churches, only 3 were willing to help. Um, not even saying that churches have to help people all the time, but just saying, that's just an example. I know with my own personal church hurt, I asked a question, and I mean the pastor turned into something I never thought that he would turn into, and said some pretty choice words to me. I was like, oh man, that's messed up. But again, I went in paying attention more to the people than I was Jesus. So
Right.
um,
People will let you down. People, pastors, everybody.
that's right. But this podcast, like you said, I want people to see that, you know, we're not perfect. I mean,
By
that
any means.
even that preacher standing up on stage on Sundays, he's not perfect. It's okay to go to church, and it's okay to call on Jesus wherever you are, whoever you are, and where you're at. And
100%.
that's the reality behind it. So I'm excited for the episodes to come. I want to hear back from the people as well. What's some topics that you guys would like to hear discussed? What are some things that you would like to be shown? What's some things that you would like to be brought to light? Tell us about your church hurt experience. Tell us about what you're struggling with. Tell us about where you are in your life, and what you feel like is holding you back from God. We want to hear all of it.
That's
Uh,
right. And you can find us on Facebook. We just got our brand new website up and running. You can email us there. But we do want to hear from you. Well, like I said, we're here for you. Um, yes, it helps me being able to come and talk with you on a weekly basis, but
yeah,
I want to be able to, interact with people watching,
absolutely. Yep.
hear your stories, maybe even invite you on the show
Oh
one
yeah.
time.
That's what it's about. Just I mean, bringing people on here, having them share their stories. It again, it doesn't matter who they are or where they're at in life. I mean, we want to bring anybody on here,
Right,
listen to their stories, talk about some of their topics that they want to discuss. And I've got a couple of good friends and mentors of mine that they want to come on the show. They want to share, some of their ideas and some of their,
absolutely. Bring them
opinions on
on.
things. And so far, we're off to a really great start.
I
Uh,
think so.
and I'm truly excited for the weeks to come, and putting the rest of everything else together.
That's right. We still got a lot of work to do, but we did want to come on and, go ahead and get something started
That's right.
for you guys.
So before I wrap it up, and I'll turn it back over to you. To everybody out there, please, post in the comments and let us know, some things that you would like to hear. Let us know some things that have happened to you, your own personal testimonies of things that you've been through, things that you're going through. Reasons that you believe that people get church hurt, and what has caused you to run away from joining a church. We want to hear all that. I mean, the good, bad, and the ugly. I mean, that's what this show's about.
Everything, real life,
Real life.
real life struggles, real life victories. We're not Debbie Downers. Sorry if your name is Debbie. Um, but we want to hear everything. We want to talk about it all, the good times, the bad times. Um, but again, like Tyler said, send us a message, shoot us a comment on Facebook, visit our website, follow us on Facebook, and also check us out on Apple's podcast and Spotify podcast. That's where these episodes will be posted, also on YouTube. Um, but yeah, thanks for watching today. And we will be back real soon with our next episode.
Thank you.